welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I am pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, doing good. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed watching and reviewing The Blood on Satan's Claw last time. Good times as always. I love it when we go back to our classic horror.
Yep.
But this week we are back talking about what we've seen lately, and we were just discussing it's kind of an uphill battle to kind of force yourself to watch some new stuff these days.
Yeah.
Not a lot out at the moment, but we found some things. So where do you want to start?
Well, should we start with Samaritan?
The film that we've both seen. So Samaritan, 2022 Amazon exclusive. I think it was made for Amazon, but if it didn't, then it didn't make a theatrical release and ended up on Amazon. I'm not sure. Yeah. Either way.
I think many started that way, didn't they? So
yeah, it's getting harder to tell the difference these days between which is a genuine property of Netflix or Amazon versus what did they just scoop up because it failed to get a cinema release. But either way, it's a superhero movie-ish directed by Julius Avery, starring Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, and I saw the last, I think it was the last one that he did was Overlord.
I have not seen that.
I like that. It's a Second World War horror.
Oh, cool. Oh, no, sorry. Overlord. Yes, I have seen that. I have indeed.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Sly. I was like, I don't remember Sly doing a movie called Overlord, but fine. But yes, I've seen the horror movie Overlord. Yes.
Sorry.
So, there's twin brothers, and they live in a place called Granite City.
Isn't it interesting that the advert didn't mention that? I don't think the trailers mentioned that they were brothers.
I don't know that it did. I will be straight up and tell you that within 15 minutes of this film, I messaged my friend and I was like, "This is the plot." It ended up being the plot.
To be honest, as soon as they mentioned brothers, I was like, okay, well, that's that then.
Yes, but the plot, the supposed plot twist at the end of this, I was like, I saw this coming a goddamn mile away.
Yeah.
So yes, Samaritan and Nemesis are twin brothers in Granite City. Nemesis is bad boy, Samaritan's good boy, and they're superheroes, and they had a fight, and they're supposedly both dead.
Yeah.
And
they had a fight in a power station.
Yes, Nemesis was going to blow up a power station.
Yeah.
For reasons. And reasons that are even more stupid when the villain in this movie takes up the mantle and decides to do it than in the past. But what did you make of this one? I have mixed opinions.
Okay, so
all of my films this week are very mixed, actually.
Honestly, I kind of liked it.
I enjoyed my time. I certainly enjoyed my time.
The plot was so simplistic and obvious that
and dumb.
But it was a case of, well, I don't mind. It was fine.
No, I agree. And if we're judging it on the scale of superhero movies, well, I'm not expecting much plot these days. So fine. I had a lot of fun.
It reminded me of 90s superhero movies.
Yeah, it felt a bit like not quite Dark-man-y, but it kind of era. It kind of feels like it would fit there. And obviously it's got Stallone in it, which probably makes it feel a bit more 80s, 90s,
Yeah. I think the whole sort of the city and what's going on is totally RoboCop.
Oh, very much so. Granite City is
just
very
Detroit,
much,
isn't it?
Yes,
it's
very much
really Detroit. And it kind of reminded me as well of the first Turtles movie.
Oh, it's got a very yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vibe for sure.
Yeah,
hadn't thought about that, but absolutely.
And Stallone's great.
Stallone is always great. He's so charismatic. He always, I said to my friend who was, watching this and kind of like, oh god, this is terrible. Why am I still watching? And I was like, it's because Stallone is so watchable.
Yeah,
he's such a watchable actor, and he always puts in a great performance.
Mm-hmm.
You never really feel like he's just can't be arsed, Like I always get the feeling that he's enjoying what he's doing, and he's putting in a performance.
I think the actor playing Sam, was it Javon Warner Walton?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his performance. I thought he was a genuinely good little actor.
It's interesting because in the trailer I thought he was going to be really annoying.
Yes.
And then I watched it and I was like, I actually kind of like this guy. Like,
yeah,
and he didn't make too many really dumb decisions. Like a lot of what he did, I was like, yeah, that makes sense as a kid, fair enough.
And the actress playing his mother was pretty good in the small part she had.
Yes.
Is it Pilu Asbek, who was the main bad guy?
Which is where most of this film's problems lie. Fine performance.
I thought he was fine. He's doing, he's on bad guy.
The villain's motivations are so beyond stupid in this film.
Yeah. It's one of those times where you think, okay, he's supposed to be giving these people,
he's all for the downtrodden. And the out of work and the people that are suffering in not Detroit City.
Yeah.
So he plans to get Nemesis's old weapon, which is this big hammer, big old mallet thing. And
big sledgehammer.
Yeah, it's a big sledgehammer. And wear the mask. He goes to steal the mask, and then he's gonna go out and he's gonna, basically reenact Nemesis's plan to take out the power in the city. Because if we take out the power in the city, that will show those toffs in their towers.
Yeah.
And it's like, but taking out the power is also going to really knacker people on the breadline. Like, this is going to really affect a lot of people. And also, this might be just the way the film is shot, but it looked like the power station's right next to the building full of people he wanted to save. Did you get that vibe? I was like, is it next door to where you're putting all the kids you want to save? Because that's a really dumb plan.
Yeah, it did sort of feel like that, didn't it?
I don't know if it was, though. I'm not sure if it was or if it's just kind of the way it was edited.
I think it was I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty certain that it was just edited that way.
But for all of its silliness and its faults, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed watching it. I had a good time.
There were some really nice little scenes as well. I like the scenes on top of the roof when, the bad guys want to catch up with the kid.
Yeah.
There's some like really, some surprising things. I mean, they threw a number on the kid and they properly hurt him.
Yeah, I was really surprised at that, actually. They like broke his arm and really messed him up. I was like, oh my god, okay.
And do you know what made me really, really happy in a really stupid way?
What? When
they go into the hospital, they have the Dr. Davis announcement over the tannoy. I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah.
That is on you go back to many hospital scenes, and that is like standard thing. It's also on the beginning of the Operation Mindcrime ad. Which I utterly adore, and it's been a while since I actually listened to that album, but I love fucking played that album so much, and that clip is so used. It's
the Wilhelm scream of
it
hospitals.
Just brought a real smile to my face when I heard it over the tannoy. It was brilliant.
Yeah. And it's like I said, Stallone is so easy to watch. There are the Stallone tropes are well out in force in this movie.
Yes.
1 minute he's like Rambo, the next minute he's Rocky. He gets his Rocky speech in the middle of the film really awkwardly for no real reason. I had to laugh. There's bits like he's in the trailer. He's been run over by a car, and trust me, it's way worse in the movie than in the trailer. They really fuck him up.
Yeah.
And he heals. And he steams when he gets injured. He needs to cool down, right? That's part of his superpower thing, right? He goes through all of that, and then the kid's like, "You're a superhero," and he's like, "No, I'm not." It's like, dude, the kid literally just saw you. By the way, I don't know if this is getting picked up. I do not know what's going on outside. There is like 1 million emergency services going up the road. I don't know what's going on.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. That's been quite like an almost constant stream since we started. But yeah, it's it's like you can't really deny it, my friend. He literally saw you.
Well, I suppose try not to. Well, I mean, we know what's going on. We've already mentioned it, but it's a case of he's not actually a superhero.
No, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's say throughout the whole movie, no, I'm not a superhero.
I do feel like even the child would have figured it out before the end.
There were points when you just think, come on, kid,
Yeah.
you could
Come on.
really you've been given everything you need to know. You can work this out now. Everybody else has.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But again, it was just such fun.
It was. I had fun. I'm not going to deny that I had fun. His powers, not to get into nitpick territory, his powers were wildly inconsistent. Like, sometimes he gets really messed up by things, other times he's fine. The car really messed him up, and he had to heal. But then bullets did nothing later on.
Yeah, they're just shooting,
and he's fine. And I'm like, aren't you going to bleed and then steam? Like, because I thought that was going to be a consistent thing, but that only happens.
Yeah, I thought it was going to happen, properly going to happen at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
But it does, but not.
It does, but he takes a lot more punishment than I was expecting.
Yeah.
But you're right. Overall, I had I wouldn't hesitate to recommend this because it's fun. It's really fun, and the cast are fine. The plot is really silly, but it's fun.
You know what you're going in for. Yeah. You're going in for a silly 90s style superhero movie, and it's exactly that, and it's just big dumb fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree.
I mean, I've also got to say, at the end, when everything on fire, how are they breathing?
I know there is no worries about smoke inhalation in this film. They're absolutely fine. They're acting like nothing's going on.
Yeah, and everything is burning. I mean, that floor they're stood on.
I'm assuming that the actors were not briefed on how messed up things were, and then later they just either there was some problems in the scene that they masked. Or the effects department just went crazy with the fire, because you're right, they should have just fallen through the floor at that point. None of them should be breathing, and also it kind of plays into the idea they need to cool him down. Yeah, and it's like, you're not cooling him down in that room. Like, it's like 1,000,000 degrees in there. You should have your skin melting. Yeah,
the fire is on fire in that room.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I like I said, regardless.
And the de-aged Stallone effect.
Oh, the worst de-aging I've seen in a long time.
He looked really inhuman, didn't he? He sort of had really weird bulgy eyes, and it's like, what's going on there?
It did not look good at all. But yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it, though. It's good fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Everybody's doing their bit. And like I said, I thought that the kid was really good. Yeah, not seen him in anything before, and I think he was really charming, and he did everything that that sort of kid does in those movies.
And some reasonably smart decisions on his part as well.
Yeah,
there were moments. It's been a while. I watched it about 2 weeks ago, and I've forgotten a lot of it. But I remember there were specific moments in the film where I was like, he did the sensible thing instead of the really dumb thing. That's good. So yeah. The only other thing now that is triggered in my mind, they make a really weirdly big deal out of these grenades, explosives.
Yes.
They go nowhere. I don't know what that was about. They were like, oh look, and I thought, oh god, this is going to really hurt the Samaritan, right? It's going to be like his Achilles. No, they're just weird magic grenades.
They're sort of odd EMP grenades.
Yeah, I was like, is there going to be a point to this? No.
They also seem to release some sort of
gas.
It was very odd. They were a bit sort of undefined.
Yeah, like his powers, they're kind of undefined.
It almost feels like each time they're used, the effect is lessened.
Yeah,
because the first one they let off,
it blew up
like completely takes out the police station.
Yeah,
and then it lessens and lessens until like one of the guys pulls it out and he pushes it into him, pushes him away.
Yes,
and it's like, oh, okay, well that seemed very. The effect of that one was very condensed, wasn't it? But maybe it was because it all went into his body. I don't know.
Who knows?
But it was, like I said, it was fun. It was good fun.
Yeah, good fun.
And I did enjoy it.
So, what else have you watched?
Let's go with Dog.
Let's go with Dog, a film that I didn't watch out of fear that the dog died. but I'm reliably informed he does not.
He does not die. He does not.
So, tell us about
this
Dog.
is Channing Tatum, Ryder McLaughlin, and 3 dogs that played Lulu.
Oh.
So it's also directed by Tatum with Reed Carolyn.
Is that his directorial debut?
It is, yes.
Huh, interesting.
And to be honest, he's pretty good. I thought his director was pretty good. So we've got Channing Tatum's Jackson Briggs, who is an Army Ranger, and he is recovering from a head injury that he sustained on duty.
Yeah.
And it's basically he's coming to the end of his sort of, I suppose, recuperation, as it were, and he wants to sign back up. He wants to get back out there. A lot of the people that he was injured with, or who he's with from his unit, they've already got better, and they've all.
Okay, so he was like the most injured of the bunch, and he's last to come back to duty.
He's trying to get someone to sign him off so that he can go back, but his injury suggests that it's probably too severe, and he shouldn't really be going back. But he's completely determined. So he at a reunion he says to his commanding officer, "Look, I really need this. I really need to get back out there." And his commanding officer says, "Okay, come by the base tomorrow. I've got something for you." So he goes back to the base. And
it's a dog.
Yes. So what it is in his unit there was a dog unit, and his friend who was in charge of the dog died.
Oh, okay.
So the dog is also suffering. The dog also has PTSD, and it's missing his I'd say owner, or his partner, as it were.
Yeah.
But the family of the dead ranger want the dog there. So his superior says, "You take the dog across country to this the funeral, and I will sign off on your thing. If you can handle this, it's great." And so he obviously begins in. He goes in. He says, "Oh, the dog's fine." It's like, oh, of course, the dog completely takes him down, and he's like, "Okay, this dog's a nutter." So it's then a sort of road movie where obvious things happen with the dog. The dog's obviously traumatized as well, and he's traumatized but won't admit it. And the dog gets into scrapes and destroys his car, and
Turner and Hooch stuff.
Yeah, it does feel very sort of, again,
Canine, I guess,
it feels
probably.
like a very 90s
Yes
dog movie. And you get the bonding stuff, and he gets into stupid things, like he ends up with these 2 women at this bar, and they're doing his stuff, and he leaves the dog in the back of his car, and some guy like, "Oh, it's cruel" and stuff, and he sort of breaks the window to try and get him out. His dog goes for this bloke, and it all gets a bit messy. And then, of course, later on, he goes to this hotel and pretends he's blind so that he can get a free room.
Right.
And that obviously turns out as you would expect.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. It's got some really great comedic moments, but it also has some very sort of moving moments. And it's I really like the way that there are certain bits where he stops by the dog's brother's place. So one of the other sort of ex-soldiers has got the brother of this dog, this Lulu, and he goes to see it. And of course, this guy's recognizes Lulu and says, "Oh, you've never got a hug from Lulu." He's like, "No, that dog doesn't give hugs." It's like, "Oh,
right."
Lulu gives the best hugs, and he talks to him about how he pulled through, and how the dog is, the dog's in the similar position. It's like, she needs to have this sort of this play sort of thing, because that's how she's been taught. She's been brought up this way, and she needs to do certain things, and she needs rehabilitating as well as as anybody does.
Yeah,
and I think it did a really good job of showing how damaged people can work together and come through this sort of awfulness that they're going through, and it needs to be talk. You need to talk about it. You need to sort of it's not really telling you anything you don't really already know.
Sure.
But it was a very enjoyable movie. I really liked it. I thought the direction I thought was quite good. Was really good. Channing Tatum's pretty damn charming as usual. Yeah. There are certain things that he does that makes him a real douchebag, but you can understand them. I mean, there's a bit where he's in.
Well, I guess he's going through his own trauma as well.
He is.
Yeah.
But there is this bit where he's in this pub trying to pick up girls, and it's each time he sort of fucks it up, he kind of tries it a different way on the next one. So that there's I think the first girl he talks to is like, I'm into the environment and all that sort of stuff, and then of course he says something stupid and she walks away. So the next time he comes on, he's like, oh yeah, I'm really into the environment and stuff, and you think, oh dude, this is just not going to work for you. You're just not going to. This bar is clearly not where you're going. I mean, he eventually gets somewhere, but it takes him a while. It's quite funny, but it's a bit cringy as well. But again, I really enjoyed it. It was really well acted, really well directed, and again, the dog's bloody charming as hell, and it's you kind of know what you're gonna get. It doesn't pull out any big surprises, but it's really nice. There's some nice. It also doesn't. There's a bit where his car gets broken into, and all of his stuff gets stolen, and he's with the guy who owns he's got Luli's brother, and he says, this is simple. You just get her to smell what these things, and she'll hunt them down. It's that simple. And they go to this this place where it's just literally full of homeless people. It's like massive. It's what California looks like now. It's got this massive homeless thing, and you sort of shows you how these people are living. It's a minor thing, but I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's weird because the poster makes it really look like a comedy, just a funny comedy movie.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it's kind of got those elements, but there's obviously a much more serious underpinning to the whole thing.
There are real, silly, funny moments, but it's cool. It does have that sort of
and that makes it kind of a
redemption story. I guess you could say.
Yeah. Cool. Well, as I said, I do like to know whether the dog's going to die or not prior to seeing a film. Yes. So, now that I know, I will give Dog a watch, because it does look fun, and I do like Channing Tatum. I think he's pretty good in most things. So, I will certainly give that a go. Continuing with my week of films that are but entertaining. Orphan First Kill.
Ooh, I was not going to touch that with a bite.
Directed by William Brent Bell, and starring Isabel Fuhrman as a 9-year-old. So, have you ever watched Orphan?
Yes, I have. Okay. I actually like Orphan.
I do too. It's ridiculous.
It's dumb
but I love it.
Very silly, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's been 10 15 years since the first one?
Yes, it has. It's been a long time since the first one. And
now 2009, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while. Now I will give credit where credit is due. I feel we should credit films when they decide not to go the CG route.
Yeah.
And just do camera trickery where they can and do what they can. But honestly, this film's biggest problem is that obviously the ending of Orphan, in theory, means you couldn't do a sequel to Orphan, right? But, I've seen enough slasher movies where the slasher villain comes back for no reason whatsoever. I fine. But anyway,
obviously,
they decided to make a prequel, so she's 9.
Yeah.
And she looks about 25. It's unavoidable. They do make her look reasonably young in some scenes, but she's clearly not 9 or 10. And the whole idea of this family and it's kind of just it becomes really weird and creepy when people are treating her like she's 10, but she's clearly not, you know?
Yeah.
So that's really awkward. And doesn't quite work. So yeah, it's a prequel. It's how she became the orphan, and basically the film opens. She's in like an institute sanitarium kind of thing, and it's like the worst run sanitarium ever. You know, one of those movie sanitariums where the inmates are just kind of wandering around.
It's the same place where they were keeping Michael Myers.
Yeah, pretty much. So and they make it clear, you know, they say to someone there, oh, you know, they're like, this girl in here is like, it's not a girl, it's a 31-year-old woman, and it's like, yes, she looks 31 as well. That's the problem. But anyway, for the sake of the movie, she supposedly looks 10. Anyway, she escapes obviously, and she ends up posing as a long lost girl. So there's a girl who went missing years ago, and she's posing as the long lost girl. And she calls herself Esther, which is the daughter's name. And this family, you know, mourning the disappearance of their daughter, you know, bring her in with loving arms, and they're like, oh my God, you know, yeah, our Esther's back, and it's fantastic. And so, you know, they reunite.
Because wasn't she sort of like Middle East?
Yeah.
Eastern
It's fine. She was kidnapped. And she's been away, and now she's come back with an accent. It's fine. It's just, you like, seriously, if you're watching this movie, you just have to fucking go with it. they're just like, well, she disappeared for ages. She's been in a foreign country. She's just got an accent now. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So anyway, the usual, you know, the film goes on its usual path. She is a serial killer. If you haven't seen Orphan, she looks like a child. She's not a child, and she is a serial killer. And she's, you know, she's bad. But anyway, I can't say what happens, but there is a twist about halfway through this film that honestly probably makes this movie. I don't know. See, the problem is, and I might have ruined it for people already. I don't know.
Okay.
I guessed the twist before the twist happened in this film.
Right.
But I'm not sure if the only reason I guessed it is because 2 people told me there was a massive twist and I was actively looking out for it.
Right, okay.
So it might be... But either way, it's a cool twist. And the movie kind of becomes a little bit different for the second half. And you know what? If you're willing to just go with the fact that she's supposed to be looking 9 or 10, and just go with the silliness of this movie.
It looks like they had a little girl to play part. Maybe.
Yes, they did. They do some body doubles and some camera trickery.
I think Sadie Lee is the actress. It looks like they're stood next to each other wearing the same outfit, so I presume she was doing a lot of the sort of standing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they didn't use much in the way of CGI. So I'm assuming they did most of it, you know, as practical as they could, which is, you know, commendable.
Yeah.
But she certainly doesn't look 9 or 10.
No.
The body double stuff works fine, but her face is like, come
on. I'm always happy to see Julia Stiles in something.
Oh, the cast is great, and yeah, Julia Stiles I hadn't seen for a while actually.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of the last time I saw her in something when I was watching this yesterday.
She was on that really good, I think it was like a YouTube series.
Oh, okay.
She was a prostitute. That was really good.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that. I haven't seen her for a long time. But she's fantastic in it. The cast are fine. You know, the twist is fun. That's the main thing I can say with this movie is it's worth it for the twist. Like, I mean, I guess they had to because the first movie, all the first movie is a really cool twist, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of had to do something here, I think, because it's like, well, we're making another Orphan movie, but everyone knows now. So, we have to have another twist. And to their credit, it's a very entertaining twist. It's an entertaining movie. I don't think it's a particularly good movie in terms of like if you're inserting logic into it and stuff. It's nonsensical. But if you're willing to go with it, I had a lot of fun. I laughed.
I honestly didn't see how you could make even a prequel to it. It's just
you just go mental. That's how you make a prequel.
I guess so.
And it worked. To her credit, it was very entertaining. So,
and I mean, she has to survive, otherwise you don't get orphaned. So
she has to survive, and then she de-ages somehow between now and then to become yeah.
She got better face cream. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, flawed, silly. I think if you're going into this, you probably know already it's going to be silly because it's a prequel to a film using the same actress where the actress is supposed to be younger.
Yeah.
And she's meant to be 9. Like, it's not like, oh, she's 25 and she's playing 20. It's like, no, she's clearly in her 20s and she's playing 9.
Yeah.
So it's painfully obvious. But that aside, I had a blast. It's good fun. I laughed. Nice twist. Good times.
That's good.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. I mean, it'll end up free on something, and if you want have a couple of beers and just have at it.
Okay, I think you've convinced me there.
It's very silly.
I honestly wasn't going to touch it.
No, it's very silly, but it's got a funny twist, and it's entertaining.
Yeah.
So what else have you watched?
So I saw the Apple series Severance.
Yes.
It's it's been out for a while now, so I mean it's not like brand new or anything, but my brother-in-law said like, oh, watch this, it's really, really good. So I thought, oh fuck it, I'll watch it then. And he was right, it is really good. So this is stars Adam Scott, Zachary Cherry.
Stanley Tucci gets about, doesn't he?
Oh, he's so good.
He's great in everything he's in, but he's in like everything.
Stanley Tucci's in it, and Christopher Walken, and I always mess her name up. Dai-Chan Leachman.
Okay.
Who I really love. She's great. She was in a very similar type of thing. She was in that Dollhouse. She was in Dollhouse. She's been in Altered Carbon. She's been in some great stuff. I really like her. So we get our main character is Mark, who is grieving for the loss of his wife. His wife died in a car accident, and he's agreed to do this severance at this company called now I've bloody lost it. Lumen. And what that involves is they surgically sever your memories from between your work life and your outside life, and so they call it innies and outies.
Okay, so the idea is that no matter how much of a shambles your personal life is, it's never going to interfere with our corporations.
Yes. You literally get into the lift at work. The lift goes down, and then during
work hours,
it completely takes away all of your memories. So when the doors open, you are that person, but you have no knowledge about your outside activities. You don't remember any of that stuff.
This is kind of a fun premise.
You remember, certain things like your education and things.
Sure. Yeah. Because obviously that wouldn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of hazy on what you sort of.
Well, we assume they have the capacity to work in whatever the field is, I guess.
So he is in. I'm gonna forget what it's called now. It's something like microdata. Oh God. Microdata reprocessing.
Okay.
Microdata refinement, right? So it's him and three other people in this little room where they have a computer and these computers, and basically there are like all these numbers floating around this screen, and When you get a bad feeling about one of those numbers, you scoop up all the numbers around it and you put it in a box.
Right.
So they really have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, like zero
Yeah.
concept.
But they have, there are perks to getting it done where you can win a finger trap or little weird things like that. And if you do really well, they give you is it a melon party or something like that,
Right.
a pineapple party where they bring down all this melons, and you're allowed to sort of dance and have fun for a couple of minutes.
Right.
So you've got that in this, and they've also when he gets to work sort of Monday, what was his boss, as it were, is gone. He's literally.
So they retain the memories while they're. I guess this is one of those shows you can't really question too much about the logic of what they're remembering. They remember their work colleagues, though, right?
Yes.
So when they go in the next day, they remember who everyone is, and they to identify someone's missing.
Yeah,
right.
There's the severed people.
So it's like a separate life. They remember everything that happened in work, and they remember everything that happened out of work, but not at the same time.
No,
okay,
exactly
cool.
that. Yeah,
cool.
So, his boss, I think it's Pete. He has gone. Literally he's been basically something happened. He's no longer working there, and that's it. The overboss that they got is played by Patricia Arquette, and she is a real nasty, ball-breaking piece of work.
Right.
She basically, she just wants them to do as they're told and get on with it. And there's another guy who's is it Milkirk? Himmelchick. These two, you're not sure whether they're severed or not.
Right. So maybe like upper management or yeah.
So they say to Mark, okay, well, you're now in charge. You're replacing Pete. You're in charge of your little group now, and we've got a new woman coming. She's called Helly, and she comes into the office, and she really doesn't want to be there. She hates it. She's she doesn't understand why she's there. She's really adamant, and she keeps trying to get out. She wants to leave, but there are things put in place which means they really can't. So
sure,
she's allowed to send a message to her outie, saying that she doesn't want to be here, and the reply she gets the next day is, "No, you're staying there. I'm not willing to let you go."
Right.
And is quite threatening about it. So she does a number of things to sort of try and leave. I don't want to really spoil it, but you get this impression that wow, the people that when they're at work, their whole life is literally 9 to 5. That's it. They're just around those people for 9 to 5.
But you can conversely, you could see that if you were a person on you on the outside, you'd be like, well, unless I wrote to myself saying there'd been abuse or something like that had happened, I'd be like, yeah, the work's hard. I don't care because I'm getting paid and I have no memory of that stuff happening, so I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of see your outside self just being like, get on with it. Just get on with the work, because then I can live my life outside of work. And it's kind of an interesting thing because they've kind of separated into two people.
She gets a message from her outie, literally on a videotape that she sent her as a message saying, "You will stay there, or I will make your, I will make sure that you're there permanently. You will never, and it's like, wow, my outie's a real dickhead." Yeah. So, meanwhile, you've also got this that there are other.
Turns out they're clones.
Well, this whole company, they've this is a company that's been going for since I think the 1800s sort of thing. It's they've got this family, and the innies have got this like rule book sent down from the this family, and it's how they live and how they should see their work, and it's very sort of weirdly sort of communisty type thing. It's got that really sort of weird sort of stuff. Now there are different divisions obviously within this place, but they never see that anybody else. They never talk to anybody else. They never see. So Christopher Walken turns up as he's the boss of optics, and basically his group put paintings on walls and things, and they're the aesthetics group. And one of the guys, Dylan, he's got this whole thing where there's a story going around that at one point one of the other parts of the company invaded this other part of the company, and there were deaths,
right?
And weird things like that. So he's really suspicious of the optics division and stuff. But Walken and Totoro, they sort of have a thing. They have this little, almost like a little romance going on, and it's really sweet because every time they see each other, they're sort of like really coy around each other, Totoro's character Irving, there were the bits where he's like, I want to go, and I'm just going to go and like have a wander and see what I can see, sort of thing. And they keep meeting up, and there's this weird division going on, but they're and of course they start wanting to find out
about the outside world,
about their outies and things, and
it's a really fun premise for a show. Actually,
it is. It's really good. It's so good, and like everybody in it is amazing. It's the woman Britt Lower who plays Helly. She is really good. I don't want to explain.
No, that's fair. I must admit, when you first started explaining the premise, I was like, oh, this sounds like it could be a fun like Twilight Zone episode. But the more you've gone on about it, the more I'm like, no, actually, there's a lot to explore here in the length of a series.
It's very Black Mirror-y. It's and basically Mark's outie, Pete turns up to him.
Right.
So of course, he doesn't know who Pete is, but he's like, I work with you. I'm being reintegrated. So he's having both of his memories are going, which is supposed to be, not possible once it happens. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but obviously things start being questioned, and what's going on with this guy. This, how is this company doing what it's doing, and what exactly are its goals and things. You get all these, and it's really interesting. There are things like that if they do something wrong, the innies, they get punished. They get taken to a thing called the break room.
Right.
And in this break room, they're sat down with this guy, and they are made to read this statement that they are sorry for everything they do, and they're just made to do this every time, like again and again, until the person who's opposite them thinks that they've
learned their lesson.
Yeah, thinks they're genuine when they say these words, and it's like, wow, that is fucking messed up. Honestly, it is really fucking good.
It sounds really cool as a concept.
Yeah, it is, and it's the little reveals are so good. There are so many little bits and pieces that are happening, and Mark's next door neighbor on the outside is Patricia Arquette's character, but she's just like
different as a
sweet woman, and like I said, there is no way I'm going to spoil anything. But
you've intrigued me enough. Apple is one of the few subscription services I've still not done. But it's very much on my radar because everything I hear about their show seems to be pretty positive. Like they have a very good catalogue of series and films now. They're actually really good, apparently worth watching. So
one of the funniest things for me is the fact that, you know, this series about severing people's conscience and stuff in the workplace and stuff is coming from Apple.
I know. Yes.
It's
the irony is not lost.
This feels like something Apple would do.
Yeah.
And it's they're directed by Ben Stiller.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's Ben Stiller's production company, and he does a bang up job, I must say. Every episode is really well directed. It's really well put together. It's a stunning.
That's a great idea.
Great, yeah, and you know, it's for most of it, it's just in this, you know, white room with four people. But
they're great actors, which
they are all great actors. They're all completely, you know, pulling their weight completely. It's really great. It's really fun. It's really sort of thought provoking. You know, you know, on the outside there's like a movement of people that want this stopped, and you know they're sort of demonstrating and stuff, and you know, it's really nice how it's put together. I really enjoyed it, and it's been renewed for a second season, so that's
good.
That's great, which I'm really happy, you know, really happy, because so many series I've got into recently have just been cancelled after the first season.
Yeah, you kind of get that fear where you don't even want to commit to a series anymore.
It's one of those things, and but yeah, so far it's been commissioned for a second season, and there's some of the twists you will see coming, but they're really satisfying. They're really well done, and I think, you know, you will be satisfied with what happens. Really enjoyed it, really loved it. Can't recommend it enough.
Cool. Well, I will definitely be checking that out. Eventually, I will end up on Apple TV, because obviously the MonsterVerse TV show is going over there anyway. So I will eventually, and I do plan on, you know, giving all of these shows a go, because I'm hearing very good things from Apple TV in terms of their, you know, their library at the moment, or at least their new stuff, their original stuff. Sounds really good. So, the other film I watched was Nope. Directed by Jordan Peele, written by Jordan Peele, produced by Jordan Peele. And I'm a fan of Jordan Peele. I loved Get Out. I enjoyed Us quite a lot. I think, as I said in my review originally, I think it's a fun movie. It's a creepy movie. It's well directed. They never should have tried to explain what was going on, because as soon as they do that, the entire narrative falls apart.
Right.
I think Us would have been a fantastic, like Twilight Zone-esque thing where we never find out what was happening. Just a weird invasion would have been great. But I enjoyed it as well. You know, I've enjoyed a lot of what he's produced.
I've not seen Us, but I wasn't a big fan of Get Out.
Yeah, I know a lot of people weren't. I really liked that movie. So, you know, each their own, I guess. And I've enjoyed a lot of his produced stuff. I'm not a big fan of his Twilight Zone, but I liked Candyman. I thought it was quite good.
Could not get on with that.
No, I think he missed the point of the Twilight Zone, to be honest, personally. Yeah. I don't think he quite got it. At least not for me. I'm a big Twilight Zone fan. But anyway, Nope is their 2022 movie, and it's an interesting one. So the film's kind of divided into chapters, and they're named after horses. There's like 5 chapters for 5 different horses, movie horses. And the film kind of opens with Idris Elba in a cameo, as the father of I think it's his it is his father. So basically they're like a family who look after Hollywood horses. They kind of they own horses and they rent them out to Hollywood, and they give like the safety speeches, and they're the on-set kind of horse. There is a term for it in film. I don't know what it is. Horse wrangler, that works. And he is killed one day outside when he's killed by debris. like coins and bits of metal that just kind of rain from the sky and kills him in a very effective scene. I mean, I think it kind of goes without saying that when it's Jordan Peele, visually stunning, wonderfully directed, great scene, and they claim, or they're told that it was a plane. A plane that was passing over, and stuff fell out of the plane or whatever and killed him. And then we kind of catch up with Otis. It was like Otis Jr., I guess, because his father was also called Otis. And he's trying to continue the business, basically, along with his sister. And they're trying to continue on without his father, but you can tell he's very damaged by the loss of his father. He's very messed up, and he's really struggling to kind of continue on. And they live out on this ranch, and they live opposite this guy. He's what's his name? He's the guy who was in The Walking Dead. I forget his name. Stephen Yeun. And he plays Ricky, who is like this, like proper, almost like stereotypical dickhead, like theme park owner. Who he's out there every day, kind of giving the if it was SeaWorld, he'd be out there giving the speech about the dolphins as they're doing their tricks, and he's that kind of guy, salesman. Right. And he used to be a child actor. And there's the big opening scene. A lot of scenes in this movie are dedicated to this one moment is the child actor, where this monkey that they had in this sitcom that he starred in went crazy and killed a bunch of people, but didn't kill him. So he's of the opinion that it informs later scenes in the movie. Right. So basically, they discover there's a UFO in the sky. It's masquerading as a cloud. But they have encounters with it, and they're aware, and the horses keep getting taken. And they keep hearing these weird noises, and the horses keep getting taken. And they become convinced, and they start investigating this UFO. So they get camera equipment and all of that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, Stephen Yeun's character, Ricky, is monetizing it. Because he believes, when he was a kid, this monkey killed everyone on set except for him, and he believes that because of that he can control this thing, and he's like, he believes that he gets on with animals and that animals speak to him, so he thinks he can speak to the aliens. There is a reason why he thinks this. I don't know if I want to spoil it. Well, it's a minor spoiler. Basically, the reason he thinks he thinks that he's got this thing with animals and creatures, when in reality the only reason the monkey didn't kill him is because he didn't look at the monkey in the eyes. And that becomes like a plot thread later in the film with the alien. But anyway, I digress. So they go about investigating it, and then ultimately, they decide they need to deal with it because it starts killing people. It becomes a big thing. I think there is a fantastic film in this film. I actually think there's a really fun Tremors-esque movie here, and it was very entertaining. It's very well directed and very fun. However, I felt like there was about an hour of this film that really went nowhere, or didn't go anywhere near enough for the amount of time they put into it. And as a result, it feels very overlong and kind of messy, unfortunately, in my opinion. Like I said, the stuff with the monkey, I understand the reason it's in the movie. I understand the need for it. It goes on way too long. They focus far too much on it. They continue on about this for a lot of the movie, and I found it. At one point, I turned to my housemate and I was like, I really hope this is going somewhere, because there's a lot of time being spent on this, and not really, ultimately. There's like little bits that they're kind of informed by it, but you could have dealt with it a lot quicker. That it's one thing to be a slow burn, and I'm fine with that in movies, but it's quite another when you feel like you're watching a lot of things that ultimately are completely unnecessary, to the plot. And that's kind of how I felt here. I understand that it's all wrapped up in the mistreatment of animals, how to treat animals and not treat animals, and all of that kind of stuff. But we kind of get that anyway because they're horse wranglers. So it's like okay, you're just doing the same thing again with the monkey, because we've already seen the way horses are treated on set. And obviously the monkey's a much more extreme example, and does inform Ricky's character a little later, but it felt like far too much time was focused on that. And there are things in the film that I'm still not sure, like the opening scene with the monkey attack, there is a shoe that is pointing upwards. It kind of defies gravity in the way this shoe is just sat there. Right. I don't know what that means. They spent a long time focusing on it, and no one I've spoken to seems to understand what that's supposed to mean. Let me know in the comments if you know what that means. Because I said to Nick, I was like, that must mean something. Okay, I guess we'll come back to that. That'll be interesting. Because it's a really cool visual. But it doesn't go anywhere as far as I can tell. It's just a thing. The acting's fantastic for the most part. The characters, I started off, it's kind of, the characters actually I think are pretty good. I started off actually hating some characters. By the end of the movie I was like, I actually really like them now. They've actually really won me over. So that's it's always good. They've got a tech salesman who's really funny, played by Brandon Pereira. He's pretty good.
Wincott in it, which that's a bonus.
Sorry?
It's got Michael Wincott in it, which is a bonus.
It does, and he turns up right towards the end of the film, and I wasn't expecting him to be there. He's great. He's got a great part in the movie, and I was like, oh, okay. I haven't seen you since like Alien Resurrection. I'm sure I've seen him since, but not much. Yeah. And I was like, wow, okay. And he's fantastic. His character's great. He's like a cinematographer that they bring in to capture. So their idea is that they need to pay the bills desperately. So they're like, we're going to capture this UFO. We're going to try and trap it, but also we're going to get it on film, and then we're going to sell the film for loads of money. Which is kind of comical, because you're like, well, have you been on YouTube? Like, these people don't get paid money for this stuff, dude. There's like thousands upon thousands of UFO video, and if it's blurry, then they're like, well, it's something else. And if it's in high def, they're just going to call it fake. You're not making any money out of this. I'm sorry. But that's the conceit of the movie, and that's fine. It's a really entertaining movie. It's got some great stuff in it. I love the whole alien idea. It's really fun. I don't know if I want to spoil it. It's cool. It's a really fun movie that for me was just hampered by being way too long. And I like a slow burn, and I like long movies. Believe me, I love long movies. We came out of June last year, and I was like, I could sit through another 3 hours of that. That was fantastic. I don't mind a long movie, and I don't mind a slow burn, but this one, it just felt like there was too much time wasted when it could have been better placed elsewhere, or just cut out altogether. I think if you cut this down, you'd have a really fun Tremors-like horror movie. Or it's kind of not even really, it was sort of horror, sci-fi horror, I guess. But yeah, there's a great movie in there. I'm really glad I watched it, but I've calmed down, because I was actually quite angry when I finished watching it last week. I was like,
I was going to say, when I talked to you the other week,
I was properly like, I've calmed down, and I'm like, oh, actually, there was a good movie in there. I think that's why I was angry. I was like frustrated, because like there's some really good stuff in here.
Yeah.
But because of the in my opinion, time wasting in this film, I don't think I'd ever bother watching it again because of that. But there are some really great performances. There's some great scenes, some great shots, and the overall plot is great. It's just that it meanders far too long on things that are either completely irrelevant or really don't amount to enough for the amount of time they spend on it.
Right.
And it's almost like, I guess he was really interested in this monkey stuff because that I keep coming back to the monkey because they go back to it a lot in the film. It's like a core element of the film. Almost feels like that should have been a whole separate film, and it probably would have been great. He just shoved it in this film, just like for the sake of it. I guess he really wanted to do that. But yeah, it's a difficult one. I don't want to say it's awful because there are some great things in this film. It's just a bit messy, in my opinion. I think it's his messiest film to date.
Okay.
And probably his weakest, in my opinion. But there's still a lot to like. It's still really well directed, as you would expect. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what other people made of this one.
Okay.
Like I said, me and my housemate both had the same reaction of like, wow, that was way too long and unnecessary. But there is a lot of fun. By the end, we were like, this is really good now. I'm really enjoying this. But yeah. Have you watched anything else?
Yeah, so I also watched I Came By.
I Came By. Another Netflix, is it?
Yeah, it's another Netflix. So it stars Hugh Bonneville, George McKay, and Kelly MacDonald. As directed by Babak Anvari. So this is about there are two young chaps. One played by George McKay. I can't remember who the other guy is. Hang on, let me just look him up. Purcell Ascot. So they are graffiti writers, not graffiti artists. There's a difference apparently.
Oh, hang on a minute. Okay.
Right.
Are these the? Okay, go on. Tell me what it is.
So what they do is they break into rich people's houses.
Oh, this is not what I thought they were. Okay.
And they spray "I Came By."
Oh, okay.
And it's their.
That's their game.
That's the that's their way of smashing the system.
Okay. Rich person shrugs and gets graffiti removed.
Yeah. It's very so their next target is this judge. Now one of them one of the chaps, his girlfriend is pregnant, so he says to the George McKay character Toby, he says, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to get arrested. I don't want to end up back in prison because he's already done a bit of time. He says, I don't want to do this anymore. I've got a family to look forward. And George McKay's character is a total dick.
Right.
He's like, well, she's not keeping it, is she? And he's got this awful, like, faux Jamaican-y type accent.
Okay.
He's like, oh, why are you doing that? It's really bad. I hate it. He's just
if you can't pull it off, yeah.
He's just yeah, but he's also white.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's like, stop it, just stop it. Anyway, he's a real asshole to his mother. He's thoroughly unfucking likable, which is like I really like George McKay. He's been in some great movies.
Yeah.
But he's real dick in this. So he's like, oh, fuck you then. You can stay, with your missus and his kid, and then this movie really desperately wants to show you, injustices and colonialism and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
So the other kid, he doesn't want a part of this, so he doesn't do this next one. So Toby is going to break into this judge's house and do what he usually does. And he gets there, he's inside the house, and he's he's taking down a painting, he's moving the stuff around, so he's going to spray it on this wall, and he hears this noise.
Yeah. So
he thinks, oh shit, someone's here. He goes down into the basement, and it's a fan knocking a lamp. So he's looking around, and then he sees some photographs, and there's a couple of weird sort of images of a young man that looks like he's been beaten up and stuff. And then he notices there's a light coming from underneath some shelving.
Okay.
So he goes over to the shelving, and he finds that the shelving is you can pull it back, and there's this door, and he looks in the door, and you don't see what he sees at first, but he's shocked and he falls over, backwards away from what he's seen. So he leaves, and he leaves a message with the police saying that there's something going on in this house. So the police turn up. They're kind of fobbed off and they leave. So basically, what you find out is this Hugh Bonneville's character is this high-powered sort of ex-judge guy. He's supposedly done a lot for equality, and he's done a lot of things supposedly pro bono for asylum seekers and all that sort of stuff. But obviously, while he's doing this, he's also keep capturing people and basically torturing them.
Right.
So, how much do I say here?
This is always the problem.
I mean, so what I will say is George McKay's not in it very long.
Okay.
He's kind of billed as like the main, but he's not. And as I said, he's horrible to his mother, and played by Kelly MacDonald, which is like, again, it's like, oh god, I blinked and Kelly MacDonald's now playing mother of 20-year-olds. Like, how did that happen? She's great. Hugh Bonneville is very good as this creepy judge. It's very there's some really nice suspenseful stuff. It felt like a little. It sort of drags a little in the middle. It clearly wants to have a message. It clearly wants to sort of show you all this is what the upper classes can get away with, and this is but it just doesn't really know how to handle it.
It's interesting, isn't it? That seems to be happening a lot lately. Where it's like, that that's cool, and like, go for it. Many films and series have done this and shown this before. A lot of them seem to fall really flat these days, and I can't quite understand why. They just don't seem to understand. Maybe
if anything, this movie tells you that
the opposite.
Rich people are pretty clever when they're sort of thing, and the working class people are pretty stupid.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's really strange. But that seems to happen more and more with movies and TV shows these days. It's like, I get the message you're trying to tell. You're actually telling the opposite somehow. Yeah. I don't know how you've arrived at this, but there we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's the main character becomes someone else after I suppose I tell you. So his mum sort of she starts looking into this judge. The other kid, he sort of he does something that sort of tries to point the evidence towards the judge,
right?
And they try to prove that this judge is murdering people, and it's sort of a little bit sort of it feels like this should have been a short series.
Yeah.
That to give the characters proper time to develop, and to set things up a little better. It felt like it probably should have done that, but in the movie, it sort of things weirdly move along quite quickly, but then they also drag a little, and it's a weird
inconsistent
pacing managed to do. I honestly can't. I mean, it's directed fine, and MacDonald and Hugh Bonneville are great. They really are, doing outstanding work here. But I don't think it's a very good film.
It's a shame.
I think it's worth watching for Bonneville alone, I guess.
Yeah,
he's really good. He's doing, but it is sort of, oh, okay, this is what they're telling you. Okay, this is not new stuff that we
no,
but it could have been, I don't know.
Could have been great.
Yeah, I think a lot of the sort of the I mean, I'm not into torture porn, but
No, me either.
But it's all of that stuff is done off screen, and I think it does a relatively good job of seeing what he's done enough, and how he's got in his basement he's got this sort of kiln, which is how he getting rid of evidence and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, he's directed well enough. The performances are pretty good, but I don't think I can recommend it. I think it's
it's a shame.
It's an average sort of thriller horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just slightly elevated by the fact that Hugh Bonneville is bloody good.
Yes, I mean that's a given. I think
Yeah.
at this point.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
And McDonald's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I personally can't recommend it, but it's it is what it is. It's if you want to see a really good Hugh Bonneville performance, then yeah, well, go for it.
Give it a go. Yeah. Well, I think that's everything, isn't it?
It is.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, everything.
No, there is no news. That's it.
Pretty much caught my eye recently.
No,
so.
it's been very quiet. Fortunately, aside from the Queen, who has appeared in a few things,
Yes.
no deaths I'm aware of either. Actually, I don't think.
No,
Not on my radar, anyway. What are we doing next time? What are we watching?
I have not decided yet.
Okay.
I've got a few ideas, but nothing concrete yet.
Yeah, I have an idea, but
cool. Okay,
we'll run it by after. But I you know me, I'm if not, I'll just chuck the movie. I'll chuck the movie into the pile. It might already be in the pile, so I forget. You've got this mental pile. I forget. But cool. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. We will be back next week with a deep dive into a film. It's going to be a surprise though, because we don't know yet. But yes, until then, stay safe, and we will catch you next time.